A member of the government's Justice Advisory Group says the resignations of, quote, two Pakeha men isn't going to derail the work that's already been done. JustSpeak spokesperson Julia Whaipooti acknowledged the departure of Jarrod, Gilbert and Warren Young, but says it would have been far worse if Maori members of the group had quit. Mr Gilbert, a gang expert, and Dr Young, General Manager at the Independent Police Conduct Authority, quit the Justice Minister's panel in June. The group is set to disband later this month once it delivers its final report into the overhaul of the justice system. Our political reporter Jo Moir has the story.
The advisory group, chaired by retired National MP Chester Borrows, has spent the last year gathering views and evidence from hundreds of people in a bid to improve the justice system. The Justice Minister, Andrew Little, says there were a range of reasons for the two resignations.
Some of the reasons for leaving amongst that group were either the work commitment was greater than expected or they'd contributed as much as they could. Of the two names you mentioned, one has maintained contact with the group and offered to assist, at least on communications issues. Another had left because he disagreed with where he thought the final report would end up.
Mr Little denies the resignations have cast a shadow over the work done by the group, and he expects the milestones he set out for the members to be met.
You expect there are going to be differences of opinion. How people handle those and how they manage them is up to them. From my point of view as Minister, having set up a group, what I expect to see is a report, a credible report, offering a path forward, addressing the problem that we all know exists. That's what I expect to get from them by the deadline set for them, and it looks like that's what they will deliver to me.
One of the group's remaining 7 members, Julia Whaipooti, agrees the final report won't suffer as a result of the resignations, pointing to the ethnicity of Mr Gilbert and Mr Young as a reason.
In terms of the membership that left, we lost 2 Pakeha men. And who is in prison?
Her comments didn't end there.
It would have been a more significant problem in terms of representation if Maori members had left. I truly believe that.
Julia Whaipooti says Maori are overrepresented in the justice system, and the only way to fix that is to find solutions for Maori by Maori.
If we're going to change the system, you've got to change the experiences of Maori, and therefore you should have more Maori around the table. That would be a no-brainer in terms of that process.
But Andrew Little believes the group was set up with diversity in mind.
It was deliberately set up to make sure there was a large number, for example, from a Maori background and experience, as well as others. I'd be most surprised if there weren't differences of view and differences of opinion, as there would be with any advisory group.
The National Party's Justice spokesperson Mark Mitchell is less than impressed by Ms Whaipooti's comments.
To be honest with you, I'm shocked to hear that there was a comment made like that from one of the panel members. I don't even think it deserves a response. I'd hope that they'd go away and actually reflect on a comment like that and the inappropriateness of it.
The chair of the Justice Advisory Group, Chester Borrows, came out swinging when the panel was formed a year ago, saying political parties' self-interest in staying in power was to blame for the lack of progress in law and order reform. He called on politicians not to bow to public sentiment, to be tough on crime, and not to put the emotion of victims up against evidence. Mr Mitchell, a former police officer, says that kind of talk marginalised the voices of some members of the group right from the outset.
I think that it's healthy to have a group made up with different views, but it's not healthy if one part of the group feels like they've been shut down or they don't have a voice. And to me, looking from the outside in, it appears that maybe is what's happened.
Chester Borrows declined an interview with RNZ, as did Warren Young and Jarrod Gilbert. The group's final report is due to be delivered to Andrew Little next week. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Jo Moir.